Možno sme dnes ešte nezabrdli tak celkom presne do otázky konkrétneho financovania a teraz sa o slovo doslova pobije aj banka, Eximbanka, ktorá bude hovoriť o slovenských firmách pri ich expanzii na tie zahraničné trhy. Takže už nezostaneme len doma, ale budeme odchádzať na chvíľočku zo Slovenska, budeme expandovať. A kto lepšie by o tom mohol hovoriť ako podpredseda Rady slovenských exportérov, ktorý je zároveň spoluzakladateľom obchodnej konferencie Vyšegrad 4 a jeho meno je Zulf Hayat Khan. Prosím, privítajme ho.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'd like first of all starting by saying a warm thank you to Juraj Miško, to Laura, and to the whole Slovakia Tech team for having me back for a third year. Delighted to be here from the Council of Slovak Exporters for the third year running. And so excited just to see the buzz outside. I've never been here and seen so much buzz. So massive congratulations to the team. It's super exciting to be here. And somehow seems maybe incongruous today that we speak about export amid all the AI, amid all the green tech and trust tech and all of that. But I'm very happy today that we can sandwich in financing and support of Slovak companies when expanding into foreign markets. I have two very illustrious guests with me today. On my left, I have Marian Janočko, who is the CEO of Eximbanka. Marian, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for being here.
And I'm also delighted that from all the way from Washington, D.C., we have Omar Awais, who represents Select USA, which is a part of the International Trade and Commerce Department of the United States government.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have 20 minutes, so we have what I'd like to call a micro session here. I'd encourage any of you, don't be shy, interrupt. If you have a question, we'll send a microphone out. And given that we've only got 20 minutes, I'm going to give each of my illustrious guests an opportunity to present what it is they do. Marian, I'll start with you. What is Eximbanka?
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here, and I would like to start by introducing Eximbanka, Slovak Republic. Eximbanka is basically a state-owned financial institution. It's very easy to describe it as a bank and as an insurance company and in one financial institution. So we have two parts in the organization. From a banking part, we are providing classical loans and bank guarantees as a normal banks, but our clients should be exporters. Mm-hmm. And from the insurance part, we are insuring mostly trade finance, so receivables and everything which is connected with the export of Slovak exporters to foreign countries.
So, I don't know if I introduced myself. I'm Zulf Hayat Khan. I'm with the Council of Slovak Exporters, so we actually partner with Eximbanka as well. And we have an allied vision on how Slovak industry can improve its standing internationally. Marian, let's be honest. Eximbanka had been quiet for 3 years, and suddenly within the 6 months since you've been in charge and since Rastjo has been there, I've seen considerable amounts of movement. Why for 3 years did Eximbanka was not active and now suddenly you've made this decision, we have to be there for Slovak industry?
Oh, if it was a compliment, then thank you.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we try to move Eximbanka to be an active part of foreign policy in Slovakia. So this means that for the last couple of years, Eximbanka was mostly like passive, because it was historically that it was the only institution of the state which supported export. Mm-hmm. So therefore, all the big exporters knew Eximbanka, and if they had some trades, they just came to Eximbanka, and you didn't need to do any active sales or promotions on anything. We realized as a new management that this is not the way how it should be, and we try to be very active. We do a lot of like promotions. We are like these kind of panels, and we try to actively sell our products, because even if it's money or insurance, it's still a product, so you need to sell it somehow. And I think we have already very good numbers now. It means that if it goes everything well, I think the whole year 2023, it will be the historically maximum of our loans and insurance. It will be maybe 22% more as the year before. So I think our activity comes to fruits now. So.
Brilliant. And we'll come back a little bit to AI and the innovation startup. We saw the VC chat earlier, which was very interesting. Moving along to the United States of America. It's a long way to come from the USA to little old Košice in the east of Slovakia. What have you noticed, Omar? First of all, you tell us a little bit about Select USA and what specifically they do. And then secondly, anything that you've really found interesting that's grabbed you since you've been here today?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, thank you so much to the organizers of Slovakia Tech and to my colleague Marian Valent at the U.S. Embassy in Bratislava for this opportunity. First time in Slovakia, obviously first time in Košice. I'm impressed with what I've seen out on the expo floor, also speaking to individuals, a lot of talent, a lot of innovation. We'll get to that shortly. Select USA. I work for the U.S. Department of Commerce, and Select USA is housed there. It is the U.S. federal government's investment promotion arm or program to help Slovak companies access or expand or invest in the United States market. We do so by providing all sorts of market research and counseling to help them make an educated decision about where they want to set up in the United States. So we have to be geographically neutral. We can't tell them where to go, but we let the data speak for itself. And again, it's the states that will be the home to whatever future investor from Slovakia that will put together a catered incentive package for them. Maybe it has some funds from the Eximbanka, maybe it doesn't, maybe it has some state-owned funds in the United States as well. It all depends, of course, on the industry vertical and what the company is looking for.
I'm interested. I've got a member here in the audience from a company called Trustmatic, who's in the trust tech space, and they've got an incredible product, and they want to attract VCs of global interest. One thing that he said to me on many occasions is that Slovak companies might, even though he's based in Slovakia, his idea is global. Why don't these international VCs come and invest in me? There may be also Slovak companies who are slightly fearful of going to the USA. Historically, it's a huge market. Sure. Someone said that you shouldn't think of it as one country, but 50 small countries. Right. How does a Slovak company think Select USA? How does they begin to start that footprint in the States?
Great question. I mean, step by step, really. I mean, use the available resources that are available to you, whether it's Sario or whether it's Select USA. Again, the US is a large market, but I like to say that it's about 50 smaller countries, right? Because they can each cater to the client in a different way. Some have a higher income tax or a corporate tax rate, others don't have it. Others have certain incentive packages, and other states cannot offer that. What's unique, I guess, about Select USA is we have programs for small, medium, and large enterprises, but we also have special programming for tech companies in all industry verticals, and a special focus on women in tech as well. And I know that in the program tomorrow, there's a session focused on women in tech. Again, that's also designed to close the gap and make sure that women are in leadership positions in the tech space, but also across the board in industries.
That's interesting. Marian, coming back to you a minute, you mentioned to me on the telephone a little bit earlier today that you haven't deployed artificial intelligence in your current role at Eximbanka, maybe in the future. But it's something that you did at the consolidation of the debt fund, the Slovak National Debt Fund Consolidation Agency that you were running previously. You want to tell us a little bit about that, given that AI is a core theme that's coming through today?
Yep, of course I can. Before I was the CEO of Eximbanka, I was the CEO of Slovenská konsolidačná, which is basically a debt collector for the state. So all the bad debts come to Slovenská konsolidačná, and Slovenská konsolidačná is trying to collect as much of the debt as it's possible. And we noticed that we have a big data set of our previous clients, if they paid a debt or not. So we trained the neural network to give us a probability of the debt collection, and that's why if the new that come to Slovenská konsolidation now these workers can recognize which one is like more probable that it will be collected and not. And we did it with Kinit, which is the I think now it's the biggest concentration of AI talent now in Slovakia. It's like Kempelen Institute of Innovation, Intelligent Technologies. I think they are here also. It will be a speaker from there. So and they are like they were like really great. And I think it was a project of like directly implementing AI in a state of company. It's quite a challenge somehow. And I think it was very fruitful and it was nice because. I'm myself in a very hobbyist way an AI
You're
enthusiast.
a coder?
Yes, sometimes I code at home, yeah.
That's super cool. And you didn't come for the hackathon?
No.
Interesting. You find out all these interesting things at these events, which is coming back to you now, Omar. You have experience also in Germany. You've traveled recently to Romania. You're doing it around. You've visited Eximbanka in Romania. There's commonalities between your missions. If there's something that you can pinpoint from the region that you look after, where you think that maybe Slovakia can pick something from Germany, or maybe Germany can pick something from Slovakia in terms of the trends and the pathways to select USA, maybe expand on that a little.
That's a great segue. I mean, you can go into so many ways with that. But yeah, so I cover Central European as well as Southeast European markets. So it's about 30 markets, including the UK and Ireland. Again, working closely with my counterparts that are based in the US embassies or consulates in those markets, helping companies navigate this massive market. Prior to Select USA, I was at Germany Trade Invest, so I was doing the opposite. I was attracting North American companies for business opportunities and business investments specific to Germany, focused primarily on healthcare, IT, and energy, and the energy sector. What I'm seeing here, again, it's amazing. Like the ecosystem, the cluster is evolving. I feel like I've also seen a lot of humility at times because Volvo has showed up.
So much fanfare outside.
That speaks volumes about their trust in the talent that's here, maybe the workforce development models in the schools, in the universities. I walked the Expo floor and I saw some incredible robots as well. So the know-how is here. It's a strong IT sector, and we know again that these cars, these futuristic cars, they're no longer. I think Björn was saying they're basically a computer on wheels, right? And I mean, I've driven a few electric cars. It's basically driving a massive cell phone, right? I mean, you just cannot run out of charge. If you don't, everything is great. But again, I think it speaks volume to what I'm seeing here. And trade and invest, they go hand in hand. Yes, my role is to help Slovak companies or European companies enter the US market, but it's a give and take, right? We have our US commercial service colleagues that also help with US companies looking to export in Slovakia and other European markets.
You've got a great colleague here, Marion, who's here from the US Embassy, the commercial section. Also, you mentioned Saria, who are an exceptionally important cog in the machine for attracting FDI into the country as well.
Has to go both ways.
It has to go both ways. Trade is both ways.
Yeah,
now,
and from us too, it's like, I think we can send you a lot of good companies. So.
Now, everybody told me not to mention the elections. I was given strict instructions not to mention the elections, which are happening on the 30th. So I'm going to do the exact opposite and mention the elections. Eximbank, are you a political appointee? Or
it's quite a sensitive question, but no.
No, you're not. So are you worried, perhaps, and I ask both of you the same question. Eximbanka, you've been great. You've been in Saudi Arabia. You've been traveling the world, exploring new markets, which is exactly what Slovak business should be doing. And I applaud you for that because I follow you closely and we work together, so that's a good thing. Are you worried that after the elections, maybe the leaning towards traditional Western-minded markets might stop?
I don't know. We didn't agree on this question.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking it. We've only got 7 minutes left, so we've got to ask the good questions. You can politely decline.
I mean, of course, personally, I'm not afraid, but it can happen, yeah.
Yeah, okay, very diplomatic. Clearly a minister in the making. How about you, Omar?
I'm not a political appointee. My boss is,
okay.
So he would have to be very careful what he says, but I should be too.
No.
I mean, Again, this is, as I said, my first time in Slovakia, so I am definitely not an expert on the political landscape here, but I am learning. I arrived yesterday for the first time, and I'll be spending a day in Bratislava on Thursday. Again, I cover 30 markets, so there's a lot of political nuances in those markets, as you can imagine.
Yeah, we spoke about Poland earlier. I mean, I wonder if
Right.
our audience is worried. Hands up here if you're worried about the elections. See, I mean, I think that's half-half. Hands up who's very confident Slovakia is going to go in the right direction after the elections.
Wow.
We got two people. Three, sorry, that's three. So
That's not a very confident crowd.
and there's quite a lot of people abstaining, so that you know, some good political.
We have our own elections coming up.
and
but
there's-
well, we're not going to go there.
an even more complicated set of elections that last for about 3 months.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drill it back to Next Frontiers. Eximbanka is looking. What's the next chapter in the Eximbanka story? Where do you like to see it going?
It's nice that I can answer this question in this panel, because I think Eximbanka should evolve somehow. Eximbanka was historically, of course, focused on big companies, like big exporters, because it was our main article, like heavy industries and machinery and everything. And now we need to move on. We need to change our mindset. We need to change our products, and we are still doing it and continuously doing it. We try to focus more on SMEs and mid-caps and innovative companies and technological companies, and I can tell you it's quite hard, because even our products are not designed in a way
Sure.
that we can somehow support it, but we are continuously try to do it, and I think it's a nice work, because we understand in Eximbanka that the future is in technology, digitization, and AI and everything, and we need to evolve somehow, and we have a main focus on that. Yeah.
You mentioned this, and maybe that you said on the phone to me earlier that traditionally large companies know Eximbanka exists because the volume of trade is that much higher. They need your support and guarantees
Yes.
in foreign markets, which is essential.
Yeah.
But maybe maybe less than the SMEs, the eco startups and trust tech and all of these types of companies would benefit from your support. Is there an open door policy
Yes.
at Eximbanka?
Yes.
We'll give you your email address.
Yeah, sure. I will be happy. Yeah, and we are trying to focus on that, and I think within our boundaries now for like the products and the mindset, we are still very flexible. So I think we can tailor-make something always which helps the exporter, but it's a little harder if you get a normal standardized products and of course, the doors are open, but we have the willingness to do it. So I think we can help even startups or companies who wants to export, let's say, services or codes or any which is not like tangible something, but machinery or something. So, but yeah, we are very open to this kind of discussions and also exporters.
So there's scope for contact. Omar,
May I piggyback on that, on scope and kind of where I see things going? So many of you have probably heard about the CHIPS Act that recently passed. That's a $280 billion package, obviously focused mainly on the semiconductor industry, but also the science industry. And 10 billion of that money is actually dedicated to creating tech hubs in the United States. This was just launched this summer by Secretary Raimondo. The U.S. Economic Development Administration is the organization that oversees all the economic development organizations in the United States, the states, the counties, the cities. And again, these tech hubs they're supposed to be about 20. The most known ones, of course, are Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and New York. But we want 20 more. So $10 billion over the next 10 years is going to flow into various hubs in the U.S., and the states are bidding for this money, and their role, of course, is to create that hub, that ecosystem that we've been hearing about in other panels as well. So again, we also need companies to be part of that, and we will work and assist companies from all over the world to be successful in the U.S.
that's a stimulus package that
Right.
sounds very incentive. Well, it's a good
Incentivizing.
incentive. Imagine an English speaker not being able to say that word. Regardless of that, now I want to put you on the spot. Talk to me about figures, current figures of Slovak industry in the United States. Isn't great, is it? I put Marian on the spot.
It isn't bad.
Give me some stats.
Sure.
Throw out some stats.
So Select USA has only been around for 10 years, and we've actually helped 6 Slovak companies, 2 of which I can talk about.
Please.
GA Drilling, which may be known to some of you. They set up in Houston, Texas. And Maxim Farm, just this earlier this year. So we worked closely with them and assisted them, Maxim Farm in Florida. I think overall investment value was a little over $1 million. So you got to start somewhere, but the way we see it, or the way I see it also, the way I understand it, having traveled through some of these other Eastern European countries, is you're really talking about a young country, right? A young democracy in many ways, and a lot of this economic revolution has only happened in maybe in the last 10 to 15 years. So room for improvement, sure, but we have had Slovak investment, and we look forward to more Slovak investment in the United States.
Given that we only have a minute left, and if anyone goes to the gym will know that 1 minute's a lot when you plank, I want to offer anybody in the audience the opportunity to ask a question. Is there anybody out there? Arthur, do you have a question for my illustrious guests? Not today. Marian, no questions? So, yeah, I've done my heavy
I made a pitch.
I've done my heavy lifting for you. Okay, so then on that note, maybe we conclude with some impact statements. Eximbanka and Slovak export future. Less EU, more global. How do you see it?
Less EU, more global. As I mentioned, we need to focus more on technologies, digitization, AI, and these kind of technologies are global. So, yeah.
Good. And you see actually, one more question to that. Do you see Slovakia playing a more global role in this environment? So we talked about Slovak trade to America. I'd like personally to see Slovakia be a more internationally recognized country based on intelligence, based on digitization, based on all these fabulous companies and technologies we see outside. Is that something that can happen? Or will it happen?
Yeah, it can happen, but it's good to be realistic. So,
okay. So in Slovak, that's uvidíme. In Arabic, that's inshallah.
Inshallah.
And from you, Omar, if you had to conclude your trip here in Slovakia, and the future's great, the future's Slovak, how would you sum it up with what you would like to achieve with Select USA and Slovakia in a nutshell?
Again, just making us known, knowing that there are resources out there, whether they're Sarios or the Select USAs for specific countries, or the Germany Trade and Invest out there. I mean, again, my understanding, my little understanding as I'm picking it up is Slovakia companies will start to grow in Slovakia. They'll look at the EU first. But when you're ready, you can also consider the United States. Don't be intimidated by its size. There are resources out there, and we're here to help.
Great. And on that note, even ahead of time, I would like...
No, that's
negative. Oh, no, I've gone over
negative.
time. Negative. I think we did all right. I'd like to thank Marian Janočko, CEO of Eximbanka, for your time. Thank you very much, Marian.
thank you very much for having me here. It was a great honor.
And I'd also like to extend a very warm thank you to Omar for coming all the way from the United States to Slovakia. Thank you very much, Omar Weiss, Select USA.